Well, I didn't realize I was running quite so close to out of time, so we pick it up with, I believe the High Elf turns next. After winning the fight, the Tyrion and the Dragon Princes reformed to come back across the bridge, expecting to join in the pounding that they expect to give the Slan and the Temple Guard this round. He believes he has enough other units there to get through. Those spearmen there are actually in that house. They entered the house last turn, so they're coming out to handle these dwarves. At least that was the plan. Shooting, you can see, takes down a few more spearmen, wipes out all the dragon princes, and so we just have the Tyrannon left. Few other random casualties about. The fight against the dwarves here goes much better for our side. The high elves, the few that are left, are killed and run down and killed. It does put the dwarves over in the dwarf-eating trees over there. On the other side, the Stegodon charges and somehow, with the impact hits and all the attacks, barely does the 2 wins needed to kill the crews. Actually, I'm sorry, the White Lions stand on this at this turn. They don't run yet. They stand at this point. So again, here's a kind of look at the battlefield. And again, this is from the other side as the initial shots were. So, what is going to happen next? Well, the elves, as you can see, when they killed the little tiny skink unit that was put there as a road bump, they could have overrun into the Temple Guard, but they would have opened up their flank to these guys. So what happens instead is, after a little bit of moving, there's a great deal of shooting that kills a bunch of Thunderers and panics the others away. Sorry, that's the magic Fury of Cain does. The Swordmasters get the Shield of Safri, and Important of Fire is cast on the Spear Elves. The small unit of Skinks that was hanging out behind the archers are completely killed by the Elven archers, who are still slowly losing elves to the ghosts in that mansion. In all the fighting that happens and shooting, the cannon is destroyed as well by some bolt throwers. So in the hand-to-hand, the dwarves finally kill off the elves here. The dwarves do not get an overrun because it wasn't the first round of combat, so the White Lions are gone. The Swordmasters did charge, along with the general, charged the Slan and the Temple Guard unit, while the large Spear Elf unit angled off to deal with the Saurus and Stegodon coming from that side. This was wow, Swordmasters still nasty at 8th, chop down the Temple Guard along with Tyrannon, and the Slan goes running. They don't manage to catch him, though. Everybody rolled really low. The fight over here, the elves, were able to get a charge into the Salamander unit, and they are able to break the Sauruses. The Salamander breaks, the Stegodon breaks, everybody breaks, but nobody gets caught. Over here, the elves left that house in this direction because they saw the writing on the wall and knew what was going to happen to the White Lions. So here we are, how things look at the beginning of Lizardmen and Dwarf turn 4. Lots of rallying needs to happen to turn the Stegodons around. We still believe that if we can get the Stegodons turned around and the Saurus is turned around, we might be able to do something to that big elf block. Trying desperately to rally the Slan, although even if we do, he's in trouble. And Dwarf shooting over there, basically kind of in a bit of a trouble. So the Dwarf block that was up there does charge the Spear Elf block that came out of the house. The Stegi charges the Haunted Mansion, the Brown Stegodon here. And the few Dwarven units that were running, the Thunderers, managed to rally. No real magic because we have a running away slan and a a dwarf player. Over here, the miners, the dwarven miners, finally come on, giving us one more unit to throw kind of at the uh, elves here. But the Stegadon there failed his rally, turned around, and so we're really worried about what's going to happen. We didn't play this right. We were still thinking 7th edition, and the Stegadon in the next turn, as you'll see, will fail to rally. We should have charged first, so this should have worked out okay for us, but, well, as well as charging the front of a block of spear elves ever works out. But on this side, we're trying to take out the sword masters and turn in with some shooting because, well, that's all we really got left. The organ gun getting ready to obliterate those Phoenix Guards coming in, misfires and fails to fire just on the turn we really need it. The battle goes interesting. The dwarf block actually wins in spite of losing as many people as it did, in spite of the ranks. There was a lot of kills in there. There's a dwarven character in there, and wins, but the elves don't run, and that was probably the one chance. The truth we discover here is that big blocks, if they don't run, if they use the steadfast and stay, even if the foes they're fighting are a bit tougher, over time the little unit can't beat the big unit. And remember, this dwarf block already fought a bunch of white lions, so it was damaged coming in. So the Stegadon kills a couple of the archers in the building and then doesn't break them, so is pushed back. So the High Elf turn 4. The High Elves just kind of reposition over there. They know the Slan is gone at this point. Tiernan starting to come around to help up in the top side if needed. All of those archers in the building and on the other side of the hedge are shooting at that brown Stegadon, trying to kill it off. Some of the shooting does take out the salamander, the blue salamander that was by the woods over there. Kills one last skink that was the last remaining skink of one of the other units running around. The mansion kills a couple more of the elves. And here we are with High Elves attacking the dwarves in several locations. You've got the battle up there behind the houses and 2 war machines facing very depleted but still elite elf units. Not looking good. And as you can see, the Phoenix Guard completely take out that organ gun. They'll overrun into that dwarven unit with the character. That's the dwarven unit that initially attacked the Dragon Princess oh so long ago. The Bolt Thrower crew is no more successful, and after defeating them, the Swordmasters reform and start looking over at the handgunners. Up here, once again, more elves than dwarves are lost. You can see that the dwarves are slowly getting ground down. They're killing several elves for every dwarf, but one combat round that goes the other way could really change things. In earlier editions, there were several rolls over the course of the Slinkly battle where the elves would have fled, but Steadfast in 8th holds them there and keeps them fighting.